What if I told you you've been doing hammer-ons wrong since day one? Through my career working as a studio guitarist, where every note has to be perfect, and after having taught hundreds of students over 20 years, I've come to realize that the secret to perfect hammer-ons is simpler than you think. You just have to focus on a few key movements. I've been studying the biomechanics of guitar playing for over a decade and analyzed the most ergonomic ways to play this instrument. And through that, I've developed a checklist that can help any player make sure that your hammer-ons are flawless. So in this video, I'm going to show you why your hammer-ons sound weak and dull, how to change your finger position to ensure perfect attack every time, and how to practice these movements so the technique stays with you for life. But first, let me tell you what most amateurs get wrong about hammer-ons. Almost everyone has the same issues when it comes to getting loud, crisp hammer-ons. They don't use their fingers correctly. They use them intuitively. When most people start out, they grab a guitar and start moving their fingers in some way in order to get the sound out of the instrument. They're learning intuitively, but they develop bad habits along the way. And I know, because I did the same thing. But just because something felt natural when you were a beginner doesn't mean it's the best way to do it. Think about when you first learned how to do hammer-ons, if you can remember it. It probably went something like this. You bring your finger back and you push as hard as you can onto the string in order to make the sound pop. And the farther you bring your finger back, the harder you'll be able to slam into the string, right? Wrong. You're actually making a crucial error before you even begin to move. Think of someone stepping on your toe with a pair of tennis shoes on. It's not the end of the world, might bug you a little bit, but now think about the same person stepping on your toe wearing stiletto heels. It would be much more painful. And the reason is all that force and energy is concentrated on a small area. And that's why your hammer-ons sound weak and dull, because you're not landing on the tip of the finger, you're actually landing on the pad of the finger. That means you need to prevent the tip of your finger from pointing towards the ceiling. If you want to play on the tip, it has to be pointing towards its target, the string. Setting up your hammer-on with the tip of your finger facing the string is the best way to ensure a loud, crisp hammer-on and the least amount of effort to get it. See, the pad of your finger is very soft and fleshy, and when it hits the string, it actually wraps around it like a pillow and muffles it. It's not very good for a loud, crisp sound. And so to make it louder, you instinctively push harder and use more force and more tension to try to get the note to come out stronger. And if you watched any of my videos, you know that more energy and more tension is the enemy of good technique. Now, why do you use the pad of your finger instinctively, intuitively? Why is that the way you learned how to do hammer-ons? The basic reason is because you're hedging your bets. The pad of your finger is a larger surface area. So when you learned how to do hammer-ons, it was a safer bet that you were going to land on the string and not miss. This is part of that intuitive learning process that we talked about. And it's really a habit you want to break because you're using more energy and tension to produce a weaker hammer-on. So to avoid using extra tension and energy to produce a bad hammer-on, you need to set up with the tip of your finger facing the string, pointing at its target. And then you hinge your finger back using only the big knuckle. Because if you use the small knuckles, the tip of your finger is going to point towards the ceiling. So creating this arc in your finger and then maintaining that arc throughout the stroke of the hammer-on is crucial for a good, crispy, loud, powerful hammer-on with minimal energy. But just because you get the setup right and you're using your fingertip doesn't automatically guarantee that you're going to get loud, perfect sounding hammer-ons. You might still get weak and dull ones. And this is because of a lack of momentum in your stroke. And there are two things that create a lack of momentum: decelerating and freezing in the backswing. When players begin to switch from using the pads of their fingers to the tips of their fingers, it's almost an automatic reaction to decelerate as they're learning this new way of doing hammer-ons. And it's basically because the landing zone is so much smaller. So you're trying to guide your finger in to hit the string correctly right on that small surface area. And once again, this happens when you use the small knuckles and extend your finger, and that fingertip begins to point upward. As you move the fingertip back forward towards the string, you have to try to bend all three knuckles in the perfect alignment in order to get the tip to land on the string. But lining up all 3 joints mid-air is really complicated, and so you inherently tend to slow down. And so even when you land on the tip of your finger, you're still producing a weak sound because you're slowing down mid-air and you're trying to control those joints. Which means you can't try to guide your finger in and forcibly manipulate it mid-air. It means you have to maintain that arc in your finger, cock it back, and let it rip towards the fretboard. Imagine trying to slam your finger through the fretboard and out the back of the neck. You have to be accelerating the entire time, right up through impact. Commit to throwing your fingertip at the string full speed. And if you miss, you miss. It's not the end of the world. But when you hit it, you'll hear a loud, crisp, beautiful, sharp hammer-on that cost you very little energy to do. But decelerating isn't the worst thing you can do. Freezing as you bring your finger back, that's the worst thing you can do. Think about how you'd throw a baseball. You wouldn't get back here and then freeze. Waiting back here would totally kill your forward momentum. And it's the exact same thing with hammer-ons. Part of what makes you able to throw a ball is the seamless change of direction as you reach the apex of your backswing and begin to move forward. You move away from the target, going backward, and then at some point you rapidly switch directions and start accelerating towards it. And that is exactly what needs to happen on the guitar. And just like throwing a ball, on the guitar, when you're doing hammer-ons, you need to develop a natural feel for where that change of direction takes place. When you throw a ball, you don't think about how far to bring your hand back. You just bring it back and then move it forward. And it's the same thing. If you bring your finger back too far, you'll lose momentum. And if you don't bring it far enough back, you won't generate enough speed to create a sharp attack. And just like throwing a ball, you have to smoothly but abruptly change direction. You can't freeze in the backswing, and you have to accelerate through contact. But what happens when you're using your pinky and ring finger for hammer-ons? It's definitely not as easy, because the pinky and ring finger are generally weaker and they have less finger independence than the index and middle. And so the tendency is to favor the pad and land on the pad of your finger, which is why your hammer-ons sound awesome when you use your middle finger, but maybe less so when you use your ring finger and pinky. But you really want to make these fingers just as capable as your stronger ones. And so to do that, you have to practice a couple very specific moves. And you should do them away from the guitar to start. Curl your finger as though the tip would be pointing towards the string. And see if you can pivot just from the big knuckle, avoiding all movement in the smaller knuckles. And if you can do this, if you can move just from the big knuckle and maintain that arc away from the guitar, then you should be able to do it on the guitar. Now the next step is learning to accelerate. So get a flat surface or a hard surface of any kind. You can use the top of your guitar. You can use the back of your guitar. You can use a table. I don't care what it is. But get something preferably made out of wood that's flat enough. And then I want you to rest the heel of your palm, your thumb, and your index. We're going to simulate a hammer-on with our pinky. Curl your pinky so the tip is facing the table. And as you cock your finger back, make sure you maintain that arc by moving from the big knuckle, and that tip stays pointed at the table the entire time. Do this same exercise with the ring finger and the middle finger. You need to be able to hear that loud thud and that loud pop coming out of all 3. And from there you can start applying this to the strings. And a simple spider exercise is great for this. Start on your index and hammer on all the way up to your pinky, plucking only the first note on each string. Each note should be loud, crisp, and the same volume. Remember to point the tip at the string, hinge at the big knuckle, and accelerate through. The technique to achieve flawless hammer-ons isn't that complicated, but it requires focus to turn it into a habit. And that's how all technique is. Once you learn how to correctly move your hands and fingers, it requires practice and effort to turn that into an automatic way that you play the guitar. And if you're interested in a faster way to improve your technique without spending dozens and dozens of hours practicing the same thing with little to no results, check out the link for the workshop down below. It's helped tons of average guitar players go from struggling to play cleanly to being able to perform and play accurately with total confidence in their technique. And it's all done through the study of biomechanics and learning how to move efficiently and effectively with the minimal amount of energy needed, so you can stay relaxed while playing. There are over 20 video lessons, PDF exercises, and daily, weekly, and monthly practice routines for a whole range of techniques, from hammer-ons and pull-offs to bending, vibrato, flat picking, finger picking, and way more. There are even technical breakdowns of some of the greatest guitar players ever, so that you can see exactly how Santana or B.B. King or Mark Knopfler use their technique to get their signature sound. And so if you're really looking for a quick way to get really good at technique, check out that link. And remember, your technique controls what you can and can't do on the instrument. So take it slow and get it right.